Who always smiles when watching BTS's casual interactions with the Tonight Show host Jimmy Fallon? Their close bond is certainly no secret. Jimmy is often cited as one of BTS's biggest fans in American television. Let's take a look at the 7 BTS members who show the most thoughtfulness based on their fun interactions on the show.
Number 7. Suga. Yoongi's calm demeanor often makes people misunderstand, even though he has his own unique way of showing his care when an interview is ongoing. This Daegu-born man rarely gives overly excited reactions or physical hugs like the other members, but his form of care lies in his careful observation of how the show is going. In the broadcasting world, a guest who is sensitive to the host's rhythm is highly appreciated, and Suga does this very accurately. He always knows when to quietly listen and when to throw in a smart comment that makes Jimmy Fallon laugh out loud. Their interaction proves that caring doesn't always have to be shown through overly cheerful facial expressions. One fun fact for you, personality types like Suga are often very reliable in critical situations because they observe more rather than talking aimlessly. This is very visible when BTS is a guest star, where Suga often gives short but very hard-hitting answers, which automatically helps Jimmy get good comedic material for his show. Yoongi's way of keeping the atmosphere alive without having to dominate the conversation is a very elegant form of respect and care for the host. This could be an example for us in everyday life, that listening carefully and responding at the right time is a very valuable form of care. Suga's patience in responding to Jimmy's questions, which are sometimes full of American-style jokes, shows how professional he is as a global idol who always tries to make his conversation partner feel comfortable and appreciated.
Number 6. Jungkook. The greatness of the youngest BTS member on stage is definitely unquestionable, but his polite attitude backstage and during interview sessions is something that always steals the attention of television staff. Jungkook shows his care for Jimmy Fallon through highly consistent good manners, which are deeply rooted in his native culture regarding respect for seniors. Every time BTS appears on The Tonight Show, Jungkook is always seen bowing politely, smiling friendlily, and listening to every direction from Jimmy with focus. Jungkook's form of care might seem very basic, but it is deeply meaningful because he always makes sure Jimmy feels respected as a host. The interesting fact here is how important body language is in showing empathy and cross-cultural care. Even though there are sometimes language barriers, Jungkook's body posture, always leaning forward when Jimmy speaks, is a universal nonverbal communication signal to show that he cares about what is being said. In everyday life, body gestures like this are very effective in making the other person feel heard, regardless of whether we are fluent in their language or not. Jungkook's consistent care from when he was a teenager to becoming a world star shows that he never forgets basic etiquette. This makes Jimmy and his production team always feel comfortable working with BTS because they know that this youngest member will always provide positive energy and maximum respect. This warm interaction confirms that politeness is the most universal form of care.
Number 5. V. Taehyung's gaze can always convey a lot of messages without him having to say a single word, including when he interacts with Jimmy Fallon. V has a much calmer and more personal approach to showing his care for others. Unlike the more vocally outspoken members, V is often caught on camera looking at Jimmy with a very genuine smile and consistent eye contact. In basic communication psychology, maintaining stable eye contact is one of the most powerful ways to build connection and show that we truly value the person's presence. Fun info for you, V often gives very honest reactions to Jimmy's jokes, which makes the interview atmosphere feel more like a casual chat between friends than a formal television show. He doesn't hesitate to laugh out loud or show a natural, surprised expression, which automatically gives positive feedback to Jimmy that his efforts to entertain are successful. V's way of communicating is a real example that care can be shown by simply being fully present in the moment. In our daily interactions, giving full attention without being busy with our own things is the highest form of appreciation for a conversation partner. Taeyoung proves that warmth doesn't always require a long string of words, but rather just a complete physical and emotional presence, which makes the host always feel accepted. V's natural social sensitivity is indeed always his main charm that makes many people feel very comfortable being around him.
Number 4. Jin. Jin's very high self-confidence often becomes the main savior in various awkward interview situations, and this is a truly extraordinary form of care towards both Jimmy Fallon and the other BTS members. As the oldest member in the group, Jin has a quite unique social responsibility. In Korean culture, the oldest member is usually expected to guide and maintain a conducive atmosphere for the younger members. Jin does this in a very smart way when appearing on American television, namely by using humor as a tool to break the ice. When the interview session is just starting and the atmosphere still feels a bit stiff due to language or cultural differences, Jin never hesitates to immediately throw his signature jokes or introduce himself with that very famous proud nickname. This action might at first glance look like a regular joke, but there is actually a very caring communication strategy behind it. By making himself the center of laughter, Jin automatically takes the pressure off the other members who might feel nervous, while also providing a very easy way out for Jimmy Fallon to respond and continue the conversation. For a television host, a guest who can take the initiative to create funny moments is a blessing because it ensures that the show won't feel boring or filled with awkward silence. Jimmy always looks very grateful every time Jin pulls off his funny acts because it makes Jimmy's job much easier. The fun fact about this dynamic is that humor is scientifically proven to lower stress hormone levels in the body and stimulate endorphin production, which makes everyone in the room, including the viewers at home, feel more relaxed and open. When Jin interacts with Jimmy, whether they are playing games on the New York subway or sitting on the studio sofa, Jin always pays attention to Jimmy's reactions. If Jimmy looks like he needs a quick response, Jin will give a loud vocal reaction or funny body movements. This ability to read the situation shows that Jin cares deeply about the smooth running of the show. Jin's care is not just about giving hugs, but rather about providing emotional safety to everyone involved in the show's production. Jin is willing to put aside a serious image to ensure that Jimmy Fallon gets entertaining material and the other BTS members feel comfortable participating. This is very relevant for us to apply in our daily social lives. If we are in a new environment or a tense situation, daring to take the first step to break the ice with polite humor is a form of service and care that is highly appreciated by others. Jin shows that being a humorous person doesn't mean not being serious, but rather it is a very effective way to connect people from different cultural backgrounds. Jin's consistency in providing this positive energy proves that behind his jokes there is a very genuine intention to make everyone around him feel happy and unburdened. Jimmy Fallon responds to this energy very well, often returning Jin's jokes with the same enthusiasm, creating a reciprocal dynamic that makes their segments always highly anticipated. Jin's care embodied in this comedic brilliance makes him worthy of a high position because he actively works hard to ensure the interaction goes perfectly without any significant communication barriers. By acting as a consistent icebreaker, Jin continues to prove that caring for others can be realized by making them laugh out loud and forget their work burdens for a moment, a very rare and valuable social skill in the high-pressure entertainment world.
Number 3. J-Hope. J-Hope's presence in every interview seems to guarantee that the atmosphere will never be gloomy, and his dedication to maintaining the room's energy is a very deep form of care for Jimmy Fallon.
In the world of broadcasting and television entertainment, the energy brought by guest stars largely determines the success of a segment. Hosts like Jimmy Fallon need guests who can respond quickly, enthusiastically, and provide lively reactions to keep audience engagement. J-Hope understands this perfectly and always ensures that he gives the maximum reaction to every question, joke, or action performed by Jimmy Fallon. This man never goes halfway in showing support. He will laugh the loudest, clap enthusiastically, and even stand up from his seat just to show that he is truly enjoying the moment. J-Hope's care is very important because it gives direct validation to Jimmy that his efforts as a host are highly appreciated and successful. When a host sees their guest is very enthusiastic, it eliminates nervousness and makes the interaction flow much more naturally. Interesting info that we can take from J-Hope's attitude relates to the concept of emotional contagion in social psychology. Human emotions are very contagious, and when one person in a group radiates very strong positive energy, the people around them will automatically adjust to that emotional frequency. J-Hope acts as the engine driving this positive emotion, not only for the other BTS members, but also for Jimmy and the entire production staff working behind the scenes. Furthermore, J-Hope is very sensitive to the audio-visual needs of a television show. He often provides spontaneous sound effects or rhythmic physical movements, which really help bridge the language barrier between BTS and Jimmy. Even though J-Hope doesn't always speak in long English sentences, his nonverbal responses are very clear and communicative. This was very apparent when BTS was filming in iconic locations in New York, where everyone definitely felt the tight schedule and physical exhaustion. It is in moments like those that J-Hope's care shines the brightest. He refuses to look tired and continues to spread cheerfulness so that the morale of the whole team remains high. Jimmy Fallon is very aware of J-Hope's contribution and often responds by joining in dancing or following J-Hope's movements. High-level care like that shown by J-Hope teaches us about the importance of being a supportive figure in the workplace or among friends. Being a person who is always ready to show appreciation, laugh at a friend's joke, and keep the group's mood good is a form of kindness that has a very real impact. J-Hope never demands the main spotlight for himself during interview sessions, but instead he uses his position to shine a light on others, ensuring that Jimmy Fallon gets the best reactions for his show. J-Hope's dedication to maintaining the mood of the people around him proves that he really cares about the final outcome of everyone's hard work. He makes himself a support system that can be relied upon at any time, ensuring there is no room for awkwardness or silence. With a personality that is always proactive in spreading happiness, J-Hope sets a new standard for how a global star should interact with the people working alongside them, making every encounter with Jimmy Fallon a very joyful and unforgettable experience for everyone involved in the production process.
Number 2. RM. The huge responsibility as a group leader gives RM a very crucial role in every BTS international interaction, and the way he guides the flow of conversation with Jimmy Fallon is a manifestation of highly mature and professional care. Appearing on an American late-night talk show with a very fast pace certainly brings its own pressure, especially regarding language and cultural communication differences. RM voluntarily takes on this heaviest burden by acting as the main translator, cultural mediator, and official group representative. RM's care for Jimmy Fallon is clearly seen in his efforts to ensure that all Jimmy's questions are answered proportionally, clearly, and that no wrong intentions are conveyed. RM always listens to Jimmy's questions very carefully, processes them quickly, and gives smart answers, which makes Jimmy's job as an interviewer much easier. Jimmy doesn't have to worry about potential misunderstandings because he knows RM is in full control of the smooth communication. More than that, RM also shows his care in a very elegant way by not dominating the entire conversation. He actively translates Jimmy's questions into Korean for the other members, and then translates the members' answers back into English for Jimmy. This process requires very high concentration and cognitive intelligence, and RM does it very patiently to ensure that both Jimmy and the other BTS members get equal time to shine.
A fun fact that we can learn from RM's role is how important cross-cultural communication skills are in today's global era. A person who is able to bridge understanding gaps doesn't just act as a translation tool, but as a facilitator who creates mutual trust between communicating parties. RM provides a sense of security to Jimmy, assuring him that the show will run smoothly without significant technical hurdles. RM's proactive attitude also shows his respect for the very limited television airtime. He knows exactly how to give answers that are long enough to provide context, yet concise enough to keep the show dynamic. In our daily lives, the ability to lead a conversation like RM does is very useful, especially when we have to mediate discussions or ensure that all voices in our group are heard properly. RM often shifts his gaze back and forth between Jimmy and his group members, a physical gesture that affirms his position as the connector between them. RM's intellectual depth also allows him to give very meaningful responses to the topics discussed, which consistently elevates the quality of the interview to a higher level. Jimmy Fallon always shows deep respect for RM, fully realizing how heavy the task carried by the man is. Through his dedication in maintaining a smooth flow of communication and protecting the comfort of everyone involved, RM proves that care does not always take the form of emotional or physical things, but can also take the form of structural support and high-level professionalism. RM's care ensures that the interaction between BTS and Jimmy Fallon always ends in a massive success, leaving a very positive impression and strengthening the foundation of their collaboration for future projects.
Number 1. Jimin. At the top position, there is no doubt that Jimin holds the title as the member who most openly shows his care for Jimmy Fallon, creating one of the most frequently discussed television friendships by the public. From the very beginning of their meeting, Jimin and Jimmy instantly found common ground through the similarity of their names, and instead of letting it just be a one-time joke, Jimin smartly and genuinely nurtured that connection until it blossomed into a real bond. Jimin's care is shown in a very personal, warm manner that involves a lot of friendly physical contact. Every time BTS appears on The Tonight Show, Jimin is almost always the first person to approach Jimmy with a wide smile, give a very tight, warm hug, and often holds the host's hand enthusiastically. In both Western and Eastern cultures, polite and friendly physical touch is one of the most effective methods for breaking down walls of awkwardness and building instant trust. Jimin understands this instinctively. He makes Jimmy Fallon feel not just like a television worker doing his job, but like an old friend whose release is deeply missed. An interesting thing to learn from their interaction is the psychological aspect of positive appreciation. When someone consistently shows that they are very happy to see us, our brain will record that interaction as a very joyful experience, building long-lasting emotional closeness. Jimin never holds back in expressing how much Jimmy's support means to BTS. When Jimin appeared as a solo guest star to promote his solo work, this level of care was even more evident. He very patiently and cheerfully taught Jimmy his dance moves, laughed genuinely at every one of Jimmy's jokes, and ensured that the focus of the conversation remained feeling like a two-way interactive exchange. Jimin often looks at Jimmy with a gaze that radiates pure respect and affection, an expression that is very hard to fake on the camera. He also often refers to the Jimmy and Jimmy nicknames, ensuring that the host always feels special in every one of their meetings. Applying Jimin's attitude in our daily lives is very simple, yet has an extraordinary impact. That is, by not hesitating to show happiness when we meet our acquaintances or friends. An enthusiastic greeting can instantly turn someone's day into a much better one. Jimin's consistent, bold care that is full of emotional warmth makes him a figure who deeply sticks in Jimmy Fallon's heart. Their interaction has transcended the standard boundaries between guest star and host, transitioning into a form of mutually beneficial support colored by deep respect. Jimin's ability to make other people feel highly appreciated, seen, and celebrated is the highest form of care that makes him perfectly deserve the #1 spot on this list. Jimin's presence on the show always promises a segment full of genuine laughter and sweet moments that will continue to be remembered by the audience, proving that the real language of affection and care can always break through television screen boundaries and touch the hearts of anyone watching.